A breezy day to one and all. I am Joshua Baruga and I am tasked to discuss the IT band or the iliotibial band of the rotational muscles. First of all, let us go with the definition of IT band. The IT band or the iliotibial band is also known as the iliotibial tract or the Mesiat's band. It is a connective tissue or fascia that runs along the outside of your leg from the hip to your knee and the shin bone. The IT band helps to extend, abduct, and to rotate your hip. It also helps to stabilize and move the side of your knee while protecting the outer thigh. As I've said a while ago, an IT band is a type of fascia. It's not a muscle. Fascia is a tissue in our muscular system that provides a lubricated surface, and it separates the muscles so they will move smoothly against each other. The iliotibial band is a large band of fascia that originates in the gluteal muscles at the posterior iliac crest of the pelvis and in the tersor fascia latae at the front of the top of the thigh. Thigh is the hita in Tagalog. It runs down the outside of the thigh over the greater trochanter and inserts below the knee into the top of the shin bone or the tibia. So our iliotibial band is something that is essential for moving the thigh and the knee because it connects the muscles in the top of our thigh to the shin bone. Some of the uses of our IT band are the following. First is for hip abduction, the prevention of hip abduction. You will learn later on in our next reporters what abduction means in our body. Second is the medial rotation and the flexion of the thigh. The third is our knee flexion and knee extension. Number 4 is stabilizing the lateral part of the knee. The lateral part of the knee is the part of the knee which is away from the other legs. So we could say that it is the part of the knee that is in the side of your body. So the iliotibial band is prone to injury from tightness and inflammation due to overuse. Especially if you're a dancer, you will always move. Of course, diba? You will always move. You will not just sit down when you're dancing, except if you're a para dancer or someone who is handicapped. The iliotibial band will always be used by your legs. So since it is being overused, the iliotibial band is also prone to injuries and ailments. This ailment in the iliotibial band is what we call the ITBS or the iliotibial band syndrome, and it only affects the lateral side of the knee, just above the knee joint. While the RICE, or which stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation, will help an iliotibial band injury carrying out exercises that strengthen the surrounding area, which is also a good way of avoiding the ITBS in the first place. The function of the iliotibial band to dancers, much like the hip flexors that we looked in the previous reports, you will be making use of your IT band pretty much in every movement that you do in your dancing and, like I've said, even in your daily chores. Whether you primarily drive your hip work from your glutes or your thighs, your IT bands are always affected, and without proper attention, you will begin to experience issues with your IT band if you aren't properly stretching. So when you are dancing with a full extended knee, the IT band stabilizes the knee so that it doesn't move sideways out of alignment. So here are some exercises that involves our IT band tissues. First exercise is what we call the supine hamstring stretch with strap. In this exercise, we need a yoga mat and a strap. And to execute this, we start by lying on our back with our legs straight and a strap secured on one foot, holding the end in your hands. Second, use the strap to pull your leg up toward your body, feeling a stretch in your hamstrings. You can have a slight bend in your knee but keep your foot straight. Make sure not to let go or not to let your other leg lift off the ground. Second exercise that involves the IT band tissues is what we call the sitting supine piriformis stretch. In executing this, we need a chair. Begin sitting upright in a chair. Cross one leg over the other so that your ankle is resting on top of your opposite thigh. Gently pull your bent knee across your body towards your opposite shoulder. You need to feel the stretch towards the back of your hip and at the buttocks, so that really you could feel that your IT band is being stretched. Try also not to arc your body or lean to one side as you stretch. So when you use a chair, it is advisable to use something like a monoblock chair so that you could maintain the straightness of your back. And lastly, the third exercise is the sideline quadriceps stretch. You need here again is a mat. Begin lying on your side with your legs straight. Bend your upper leg and grab hold of your foot to pull it toward your buttocks until you feel a stretch in front of your thigh and hold. Make sure not to let your hips tilt forward or backward like what you can see in the images. So that will be all for the IT band. May I now pass the floor to our next presenter.